become a certain Marvel superhero in Destiny 2? Boy, do I have a build for you. Execute rooms of ads with a single hammer swing. We'll be looking at a Titan melee build that not only acts as an ad clearer, but a champion's worst nightmare. Stay tuned. One of my fireteam buddies once told me to try this out, and I only wish I had picked this up sooner. Hope this one is for you, buddy. Now let's clarify the following. I'm not a Titan main, period. But this, well, let's just say I've barely used the other two classes since coming across this build. The gist of it is simple. Throw hammers at ads, chain lightning with a certain exotic, and watch the entire room bloody disappear. It's an aggressive close quarters combat build that has also got anti-champion traits. More of that to follow. Before we get into nitty gritty, please leave a like for that YouTube algorithm. It has a temper, but more likes this gets, the more people will likely see this. Also, subscribe and turn on notifications to help my channel grow and be alerted when future content hits the channel. We kick off with the subclass perks, Fiddle Tree Hammers. This is the only current Titan subclass that has a ranged melee. If you are familiar with this very underused subclass, Roaring Flames makes your abilities do more damage, which stacks up to 3 times based on ability kills. I'm using thermite grenades as it lasts for a longer duration than the other ones, and keep your Roaring Flames proc for longer, but this is not a grenade build. The melee is what makes this subclass unique. The Throwing Hammer melee ability is pretty powerful, especially with Roaring Flames procced at ×3, and upon hitting a target, you can pick up the hammer from the ground and restore health. For this build, it would not have been possible to put this together without binding my power melee ability to another input on my controller, as this is a CQC build. Trying to repeatedly melee a champion at close range or any tanky enemy will straight up make you use your normal melee, so make sure to bind your power melee to another input. This will enable you to continuously throw hammers at close range, hitting targets and restoring your health, giving you access to an aggressive playstyle. To make the throwing hammers competitive in champion level content, Thermoclastic Strike will enable your hammers to stun overloads and regenerate your melee. This, paired with Withering Heat, causes your melee ability to debuff champions, allowing you to do 20% more damage to them, which stacks with Roaring Flames. Here we can see a stunned overload champion taking 34,000 odd damage per hammer throw, which is already impressive, but this is only with Withering Heat procced. With Roaring Flames, ×3 procced, the damage nearly doubles to 76,000. This turns your melee into a massive source of damage, and of course, throwing it close to a champion enables you to pick it straight back up and continue throwing, whilst regenerating your health. Nasty. This build, in my honest opinion, dwarfs all builds I've ever put out on this channel, and I'm not particularly fond of Titans. I used this same build with some minor tweaks to solo Flawless the Pit of Heresy dungeon. I recently uploaded the gameplay, go check it out. As you may know, Withering Heat takes up to 6 slots, meaning you cannot pair it with Particle Deconstruction. Reaper helped me test whether the two stack, and unfortunately it doesn't. It would have been wild if it did, but it wasn't meant to be. You know that Titan exotic that terrorizes everyone in the Crucible? We found a PvE utility for it that turns you into Thor of Asgard. Dunemarchers chains lightning on powered melee hits after sprinting for a short duration. You already know where I'm going with this. Throw your hammer after sprinting for a short duration to unleash a storm of electricity that will wipe out entire rooms of ads. This is nuts. Despite the upcoming nerf to Dunemarchers, it won't impact functionality too much in PvE, but having the power to chain lightning on ads after throwing the hammer is the most fun I've had in the 7 odd years of me playing Destiny, especially as you can pick up the hammer to continue your path of destruction. It practically renders weapons pointless. I managed to clear all of the ad encounters of Vault of Glass with just throwing hammers recently. In terms of guns, I did pick a swashbuckler rolled Fighting Wind's bow and a Vorpal weapon rolled Cartesian Fusion to stun unstoppables, but again, you will rarely use guns with this build. To make things just a little bit more interesting, I went with an Elemental Well build. As this is a melee focused setup, I am using Melee Wellmaker. Power meleeing a combatant and killing it will spawn a well at its location. As we nearly always have a hammer ready to go, you'll have an infinite Elemental Well generation ability. To help with the aggressive nature of this CQC build, slap on Well of Life. It essentially restores health bit by bit on well pickup over a 10-second duration. I also used Font of Might to increase my solo weapon damage by 20%, but with that one you can swap it out to suit your needs. Finally, I applied an elemental time dilation mod that essentially increases the timer of Well of Life and Font of Might effects. So just to recap, hammer kills spawn an elemental well that on pickup grant me 13 seconds of increased solo weapon damage and constant health regeneration. The power this build provides is hilarious, fun, and reminds me of the time someone tried to tell me there is no build craft potential in this game. You, sir, are very wrong. This build has everything, from ad clearing potential to champion dismantling and high DPS potential. For non-champion content, particle deconstruction obviously dwarfs the Withering Heat mod, but don't sleep on it. With the right build, it is a menace. A slight variation of this build helped me solo flawless Pit of Heresy dungeon, helped me solo flawless a few Master Lost sectors, and made my character selection when logging in more difficult than calculating the mass of the bloody sun. But there you have it. If you have not tried this out yet, please go ahead. Anyhow, enough of my rambling. I seriously recommend this build if you are a Titan main. Go out there and electrocute everything. Please remember to leave a like and subscribe. Might as well turn on those notifications to keep up to date with the latest Destiny 2 content. I'll see you in the 30th anniversary content. Next up, the Grasp of Avarice dungeon walkthrough. Until then.